remember the exact moment the weight of the world truly settled on my shoulders. I am Elena, 30 years old, and Madrid is my city, vibrant and bustling, yet sometimes it felt like I was drowning in its noise. I'd always dreamed of opening my own small bakery, a place filled with the smell of warm sugar and cinnamon, a haven for those seeking a sweet escape. For years, I had worked as an assistant baker at Dulce Sueño, a tiny patisserie tucked away in a charming old street. My hands knew the exact feel of dough, the perfect temperature for chocolate, the delicate art of decorating. But then, the owner had to cut back due to unexpected expenses, and my precious hours, were slashed. Suddenly, my small apartment in Lavapiés, once a cozy refuge, felt cold and vast. My biggest struggle wasn't just my own hunger, but the gnawing fear that I was failing my younger sister, Sofia. She was studying at university in Valencia, and I'd always sent her a little money each month for books and rent, a silent promise that I would always be there for her. Now, even that was becoming impossible. The internal nemesis I fought every single day wasn't a monster under the bed. It was the crushing shame, the feeling of not being enough, the terror of admitting how close I was to falling apart. I became a master of pretending, smiling brightly, making excuses, all while my stomach grumbled and my heart ached with worry. I tried everything to climb out of the hole I was in. After my shifts, which were now painfully short, I would bake a few extra pastries at home, hoping to sell them, but the cost of good ingredients ate up most of the potential profit. I applied for every night shift I could find at other bakeries, but Madrid is a city of dreams, and everyone else was chasing theirs too, making competition fierce. Each rejection letter felt like a physical blow, stealing a little more of my hope. Then, the universe decided to test me further. My old refrigerator, a faithful but ancient companion, decided to give up the ghost, demanding an expensive repair. My reduced paycheck was delayed, pushing me further into the red. And then came the phone call from Sofia, her voice bright, but asking if I could possibly help with a specific, expensive textbook she desperately needed for her new course. I swallowed hard, my throat tight, and promised her I would manage it, all while my mind raced, trying to figure out where I would find the money. I just couldn't let her down. This was my lowest point. My best friend, Clara, from my hometown of Sevilla, arrived for a visit around this time. I loved Clara more than words could say, but her arrival filled me with a fresh wave of panic. How could I hide my destitution from her? I cooked what little I had, pretending I wasn't hungry, telling her I'd already eaten or that I was on a new diet. One evening, after Clara had gone to bed, I stood in front of my pantry. It was almost empty. A single, forgotten bag of old rice, half a tin of olives. Tears, hot and silent, streamed down my face. I was so tired of fighting, so tired of pretending. The thought of not being able to feed myself, let alone offer my dearest friend a proper meal, crushed me completely. It felt like my dream, my little dream of a bakery, was not just distant, but utterly unreachable. I felt like giving up. A few mornings later, a tiny miracle unfolded. I was reaching for that bag of old rice, my fingers brushing against the dusty back of the shelf, behind a jar of chickpeas I hadn't touched in weeks. My hand connected with something small and crisp. I pulled it out. It was a perfectly folded 50-euro note. My heart pounded against my ribs. I stared at it, confused. Had I forgotten it? It seemed impossible. I used it cautiously, guiltily, to buy some fresh bread, milk, and a few vegetables. I didn't tell Clara. A few days later, while putting away a new bag of flour I'd bought with some of my very last coins, I found another 50-euro note, tucked neatly behind a box of my favorite herbal tea. And then it happened again and again over the course of Clara's visit. Always a 50-euro note, always in a different, inconspicuous spot in the pantry. It wasn't random anymore. It was intentional. My Clara, my kind, perceptive Clara, knew. She saw my struggle, she understood my shame, and she was helping me in the most beautiful way possible, silently, respectfully, preserving my dignity. The realization washed over me like a warm wave, a balm to my raw spirit. I wasn't alone. Someone saw me, truly saw me, and offered help not as charity, but as a quiet act of love. This profound kindness, this unexpected grace, filled me with an overwhelming gratitude and a renewed, burning hope. It was the push I needed, the quiet courage I'd been searching for. I took a leap of faith. I used the last sum I found, along with what little savings I had left, to buy the best ingredients I could find, not for rice and beans, but for my pastries. I baked a full batch of my very best creations, delicate almond tarts, rich chocolate madeleines, and my signature lemon lavender cookies. With a deep breath, I walked a few blocks down to El Rincón del Café, a small, beloved cafe whose owner, a kind older woman named Isabella, always had a warm smile. I offered her a plate of my pastries, explaining my dream. Isabella, with her wise, knowing eyes, tasted each one slowly, a thoughtful hum in her throat. She loved them. She agreed to sell them on a trial basis. From that day forward, my life began to change. I poured every ounce of my rekindled hope and resilience into my baking. My pastries, infused with the taste of new beginnings, became a hit at El Rincón del Café. With a steady income, I was able to pay my bills, send extra money to Sofia, and slowly, carefully begin saving for my own dream bakery again. Before Clara left, I confessed to her about the hidden money. We shared a long, tearful hug, no words needed, just the silent understanding between two souls. I didn't just recover, I thrived. The kindness Clara showed me transformed me. I started a kindness jar in my own kitchen, where I regularly put aside money, not for myself, but to anonymously help someone else in need. I also began baking extra small treats, not for sale, but to leave for the homeless people I often saw near my apartment, a small offering of warmth and sweetness. Months later, things were truly looking up. My small business was growing, and I was even thinking about expanding my offerings. One sunny morning, I received a letter from Sofia. Inside, carefully folded, was a crisp €50 note. Her letter explained that she had been struggling terribly a few weeks prior, almost giving up on her studies, when she found an anonymous €50 note tucked into her university mailbox, just when she needed it most. It was an exact echo of Clara's silent kindness, a beautiful ripple effect reaching my sister across the miles. I smiled, a genuine, joyful smile. I understood then that kindness, like a delicious aroma, truly travels far beyond its origin, touching hearts and making the world a sweeter, more hopeful place, one silent act of love at a time. I was no longer just Elena, the struggling baker. I was Elena, the baker who understood the profound power of connection, and I was determined to keep that chain of kindness going forever.